What's going on? Today I'm gonna go over 5 tips for how to throw the roundhouse kick. Now remember, when we throw the roundhouse kick, it starts from the ground up. The first tip when it comes to throwing the roundhouse kick is your foot placement. Because kicking does start from the ground up, you wanna make sure your foot is in the right spot. What I see a lot of people do when they throw kicks is just keep their foot exactly where it's at and kick. Notice how my foot's straight. I'm not gonna get a lot of torque in my kick if I'm keeping my foot straight. I'm either gonna need to step out or I'm gonna have to pivot on my foot. Now, obviously you can't pivot with a flat foot. You have to pivot on the ball of your foot, like so. Both ways are extremely effective. Sometimes I like to use that step out kick really to load into the leg or to create some space for me and another angle. Number 2, the hip turnover. What a lot of people don't realize when it comes to the roundhouse kick is that a lot of the power generated actually comes from that little snap in your hip turn. If you see the Thais training in Thailand or at gyms here in the United States, you see people warm up like this. A lot of the time, obviously they're warming up their core temperature, but they're also working on the hip movement, not the twist. So back to that hip turnover. And a way that you can practice this is put a chair low enough, but just high enough, right in front of your kick. Now from here, I want you to turn over until your shin is laying flat on your back. So you're gonna lift, turn. See how my hip's facing forward? That's how much hip turn you wanna be able to generate. So what's gonna help you get that hip turnover though is your feet placement. It's amazing how these things literally go hand in hand. You have to get your feet right first, and then from there, after you step or pivot, boom, you're gonna be able to turn your hip over facing forward. Number 3 is the hand pull through. So for beginners, we like to teach hands up and then to bring your hand down to your hip, almost like you're putting on a seatbelt. Now, as you get more and more advanced, you can pull it out to protect yourself from anyone crowding you or coming in, but for the sake of today's video, we're going to teach you the beginner way. Hands up, and as you're turning into your kick, you put your hand down to your hip. Let's do that again. Hand up and down to your hip. All these things are gonna be working together. Feet turn, hip turn, hand comes down to your hip. Your hand placement's really gonna help you as you're pulling this down. This power generated is going to help you turn your hip over more. Tip number 4. Now this is specifically for Muay Thai. I know in a lot of kicking martial arts, people actually do use the blade of their foot or the top of their foot. But in Muay Thai, we believe in the motto, dent or break, and therefore we use our shin. And your shin is a very strong bone right in between your ankle and your knee. And you're obviously gonna have to mess with your range a little bit to make sure you make contact properly with your shin. So as I'm getting ready to strike my back, and I'm turning over, like I said, you wanna almost make an angle, like your shin's coming over a table and then back down in place. Over a table and then back down. If I'm throwing my kick and I'm ending up like this, I'm too close to my back. If I'm throwing a kick and I'm hitting with the top of my foot, I'm a little too far. You're gonna have to adjust where you are in association to your bag or your opponent to make sure you're striking properly. Now, if you do make contact properly, you're probably not gonna hear it because a smack is actually showing that you're not hitting with the right part of your body. Really, you should hear a thud. Now that we've gone over feet placement, hip turnover, hand placement, and where you're supposed to kick, let's get on to point number 5. The last and final tip for this beginner's video is keeping your hand up. So in anything that you do when it comes to fighting, boxing, kicking, whatever martial art, you need to be able to protect yourself. As I'm throwing this kick, I know I'm bringing this hand down to my hip to make sure I'm using the right technique, but my lead hand stays up to protect my hand. So as this comes through, the other one is staying up to protect myself, And then when I'm done, my hand comes right back to the other side of my chin. Now, people do get in the habit of dropping their lead hand and exposing themselves. And if I expose myself as I'm throwing my kick, I can get hit in the temple. Or as I'm coming back into my position, if I'm not quick enough, I can get hit before I put my guard up completely. So make sure we keep our lead hand up as we're throwing our kick. Away! And there you have it, 5 tips on how to throw the roundhouse kick properly. So if you like content like this, make sure you like and subscribe, comment on what you would like to see more of, and we'll see you in the next video. This is FightCamp, an interactive training camp from the comfort of your own home. Tutorials and guided paths walk you step by step through the basics and sharpen your technique over time. Punch tracking technology and leaderboards provide you built-in motivation to help you hit your goals. Learn more at FightCamp.com.
Your workout, and I don't expect you to be going non-stop.